Hello and welcome, you're watching the Dove Jewish News channel. My name is Michael Vילנסקי and my guest today is Yoni ben Menachem, one of the leading experts on the Middle East. Yoni, great to have you.
Thank you.
Yoni, so my question to you will be Israel's closest ally, supposedly, the United States. We see that Biden's administration's, the relation to Israel is changing. They're starting to behave differently from what they've behaved in the beginning of the war. We've seen several new developments, very worrying developments, should I say. For example, Biden entering sanctions against some Jewish settlers in the Judea and Samaria region, in the West Bank region. We hear Biden calling Netanyahu a bad effing guy, and other very worrying developments like Biden threatening to veto the new aid package to Israel. What is going on with our closest ally over the ocean?
I think basically that President Biden is a great friend of Israel, and he proved it on October the 7th when he came to the help of Israel. Very, very big help, and he has done a lot for the state of Israel, more than other presidents in the United States. I don't think that he has anything against Israel, on the contrary, but we have to remember that this is also a matter of interests. And the Biden's interests are changing because of the political situation in the United States. Now there is a presidential campaign, and President Biden wants to be re-elected as the president, and his rival Donald Trump is leading in the public opinions polls. So President Biden, he needs some achievements, and he also has a lot of criticism on him because of his support to Israel by different factions in the Democratic Party, and he wants to improve his image among his opponents in the Democratic Party. So he is trying he's changing the attitude to Israel, because he wants to overcome these obstacles in the Democratic Party mostly. And I don't think that he has any hostile position towards Israel. And what you mentioned about what he said about Prime Minister Netanyahu, well, he denied that. This thing that was published and attributed to him. So I think that on the bottom line, we have to understand the motivation of President Biden. Of course, we don't have to agree with what he is doing, but we have to know that it's not because he is against Israel, it's because of the political interests. And once we understand that, we can also know how to deal with it.
So Yoni, just to get it straight, you don't think that President Biden's position on Israel is changing in any way? Only because of the electoral season in the U.S., he's acting differently, right?
Yes, definitely. Look, Biden is supporting Israel's desire to destroy Hamas completely. And he has been supporting Israel, giving Israel ammunition, giving Israel weapons, financial aid, diplomatic help in the Security Council, the United Nations. He is doing everything, but on the other hand, he sees that the IDF has difficulties in defeating Hamas from different reasons. Of course, in the end of the game, Israel will win over Hamas and will destroy the military infrastructure of Hamas and kill the military leadership. But meanwhile, the presidential campaign in the United States is gaining momentum, and President Biden is very worried about his situation in this campaign, especially what is going on in the Democratic Party. So now he's changing his attitude because of these political interests and putting pressure on Israel to slow down or to stop the war in Gaza because he is criticized by different elements in the Democratic Party that is too much supportive of Israel and is neglecting the Palestinians and so on. So this is why he's changing the attitude, but the final goal has not changed. President Biden still thinks that Israel must destroy Hamas completely and destroy all the military infrastructure and kill the leaders of the terrorist organization. He didn't change his position, but these are shifting positions according to the political situation in the United States.
Yoni, so let's talk about the day after and America's vision of the day after. The Biden administration declares that it wants a Palestinian state in Gaza. It does not want Israeli control of the Gaza Strip. This thing is obviously endangering Israel because Israel already seen what Palestinian control of Gaza leads to. We've seen the horrible massacre of the 7th of October. And what you're saying now, that Biden really wants Israel's best, doesn't really go hand in hand with that.
Look, President Biden is a very experienced politician in the United States, and he was a senator, and he was a vice president, and he knows the Middle East very well. Don't get it wrong. And he knows that a Palestinian state is out of the question. Just look at what happened before the 7th of October. There was a Palestinian state in Gaza. It was called Hamastan, and what came out of it? Only terror, and this horrible massacre of the Jews in the Israeli settlements, and also an attack on Israel. So he knows the situation, but on the other hand, there are politics involved. He has to present some sort of a vision. He cannot come to the American public and he wants to be re-elected, and he cannot come to the American public and say, I have no solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He has to give them hope that he has something planned. So he's going back to this two-state solution and the establishing of Palestinian state, but he knows this is not realistic. He's not stupid. He knows exactly, believe me, he knows the Middle East better than all the Israeli politicians. He's very experienced for dozens of years. So he knows what is going on. But he is playing the political game, and everybody knows that, especially after the 7th of October, there is no Palestinian state in the horizon. Everybody understands that. Even the Palestinians understand that. And President Biden, he knows the public opinion polls in Israel that there's a majority of Israelis that is objecting this idea. But he has to play the political game. So I say we don't have to go against President Biden. We have to tell him very politely, no, we do not agree with you, and play the political game with him. We don't have to clash with one of our friends. We have to say, we have to be very stubborn, refuse all these ideas, crazy ideas, these fantasies about an independent Palestinian state, which is a very big danger to Israel. Of course, we don't have to yield, to surrender to the demands of Biden, but we don't have to clash with him. We have to tell him very politely, look, this is not something that we can accept. This is a danger to Israel, and let's try to find another solution. We should negotiate with him and not clash with him.
You know, Biden's policy in the Middle East is not only kind of bizarre and weird towards Israel, but also towards American, we can say, interests too. We saw that in Jordan, 3 American soldiers were killed in the base in northern Jordan near the town called Rugban. And America's response also wasn't very easy to understand. They attacked some bases of pro-Iranian forces in Iraq, but they did not attack Iran and the people who really, orchestrated this attack on American soldiers. How would you explain that?
It is not accurate what you're saying. The attacks of the Americans were aimed to the pro-Iranian militias. In Syria and Iraq, they are the proxies of Iran, and they are the one who is attacking the American bases in Iraq, in Syria, and also in Jordan. These are the militias, the pro-Iranian militias, the Iranian proxies. Biden, this is true, he did not attack Iran. And this is, again, goes back to the political campaign in the United States, because Biden does not think that now, when there is a coming elections in the United States in November, he should go into war with Iran and create a regional war with Iran in the Middle East. And this will affect the political campaign to the presidency. And once you start a war, there will be bodies of American soldiers coming in coffins to America, and this will be on TV, and the American public will be very affected by what is happening and start criticizing Biden. What are you doing? Why are you creating wars in the Middle East? Why our soldiers should be killed there, and so on. So he's very careful. So he's trying to hold the stick from two hands to respond to the attack on the American soldiers. As you mentioned, the three of them were killed, but on the other hand, to make a sophisticated response that will not complicate the United States with a regional war with Iran in the Middle East. So he's trying to play this game.
Yoni, it was a great interview. Thank you for sharing your insight on America.
One last remark, Michael.
Of course.
Don't misunderstand me. I'm not defending President Biden about his Palestinian state, and he's changing the attitude towards Israel. But I think that we should understand that he is also a politician, and he has interest also, and he wants to be re-elected. And this is what we see in the last few weeks is a change in his attitude because of the political situation which is changing in the United States. This is the main reason. It is not that he's against Israel.
Yoni, thank you for sharing your insight on America's policy in the Middle East. Always great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you also to all of our viewers that saw this interview. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you again and have a great day.